Hello Internet, I'm Hazel and today I'm going to be going over what we know about Affliction Warlocks and Legion. We'll take a look at the original preview blog post, spell changes and removals, the new talent tree, and the artifact weapon traits. The full original blog post by Blizzard is linked in the description below this video. In the blog post, Blizzard talks about reworking the spec to make dots feel like your main source of damage. Instead of focusing on channeled damage, the rotation should reward multi-dotting and good dot management. Soul shards will be generated through agony and spent on unstable affliction, which is described as an extremely strong dot. Instead of drain soul, drain life will be the main filler spell. We'll start by going over the baseline spells that are getting cut. Soul burn and all of its related effects are gone. This pretty much takes all of the decision making out of how you spend your soul shards. No more options for you. Dark Soul Misery is also being removed along with the Dark Souls from the other two specs. I can't imagine what they had against it, but it's gone. Soul Shatter, Dark Intent, and the Soul Harvest passive are also being cut. Unending Resolve is staying, but the Eternal Resolve glyph effect won't be available anymore. Demonic Circle, Drain Soul, and Haunt have all been moved onto the talent tree. Soul Swap can be found on the PvP talent tree, which means it'll be unavailable in PvE. Next, let's look at the changes to the baseline spells that we get to keep. Agony lasts 18 seconds down from 24, and Corruption lasts 14 seconds down from 18. A running theme in Legion design has been a shift towards stronger dots with a shorter duration, so expect to see a lot of this. Life Tap grants 30% max mana at the cost of 10% max health, down from 15%. That will come in handy if you're trying to work with the Mana Tap talent, which we'll look at later. Seed of Corruption has been reworked a level. It now explodes after 18 seconds, or if the target takes 3 times your spell power and damage from you, or if they're hit by other detonations. It'll always apply Corruption to affected targets when it detonates. Infernal and Doomguard summons are on a 3-minute cooldown down from 10 minutes, and last 20 seconds down from 1 minute. They both cost a soul shard to summon. Unstable Affliction lasts 8 seconds down from 14, and costs 1 soul shard to cast. Clipping the dot by reapplying it early will add the remaining damage of the old dot to the new cast. The soul shard is refunded if the target dies with UA up. The following talents aren't making it onto the Affliction talent tree in Legion. Dark Regeneration, Harvest Life, Shadow Fury, Cataclysm, Soul Link, Dark Bargain, Blood Horror, Unbound Will, Archimonde's Darkness, Kil'jaeden's Cunning, and Manaroth's Fury. A few of those do show up on the Destro and Demonology talent trees, so there's that. In an effort to make the different specs feel more distinct, we're seeing a lot less talent overlap between them. Next, let's look at the talents that we will get in Legion. At level 15, you pick between Haunt, Writhe in Agony, and Drain Soul. Haunt is a 15-second dot up from 8 seconds, doesn't cost a soul shard, and no longer buffs your dot damage to the target. It has a 15-second cooldown, which is reset if the target dies. Writhe in Agony allows Agony's damage to ramp twice as high, which will be very strong on fights with persistent adds. Drain Soul replaces Drain Life. It does more damage but heals less and rewards a soul shard if the target dies while channeling. At level 30, we choose from Contagion, Absolute Corruption, and Mana Tap. Contagion causes Unstable Affliction to also increase all damage you deal to the target by 5%. That's a nice passive that doesn't take a whole lot of managing to make use of. Absolute Corruption causes your Corruption dot to be permanent, or 60 seconds on players. This saves you the globals of reapplying it, which gives you more time to manage your agony and unstable afflictions. Mana Tap is the high skill, high damage option, allowing you to instantly consume 40% of your mana to grant 15% increased damage for 20 seconds. If you can safely balance that with Life Tap, you can maintain very strong damage. At level 45, we see Soul Leech, Mortal Coil, and Howl of Terror. Soul Leech causes your Drain Life or Drain Soul to grant you an absorption shield for 30% of the damage dealt. Mortal Coil hasn't changed. Howl of Terror has a 1-minute cooldown up from 40 seconds and automatically triggers when you're reduced below 30% health. This kind of guts it for PvP. At level 60, we pick from Siphon Life, Sow the Seeds, and Soul Harvest. Siphon Life is an instant cast dot that deals damage over 15 seconds and heals you for 100% of the damage dealt. Sow the Seeds causes Seed of Corruption to consume a soul shard if you have one, to embed seeds in 4 additional nearby enemies. Soul Harvest is a 2-second cast that refills 5 soul shards for you on a 2-minute cooldown. During a Bloodlust burst phase, you could feasibly spam Unstable Afflictions to stack up a gigantic one, cast Soul Harvest, and then do it again. That's a big dot. At level 75, we choose between Demonic Circle, Burning Rush, and Dark Pact. Demonic Circle hasn't changed, although the former Soul Burn effect is no longer available. Burning Rush is also the same. Dark Pact is the renamed version of Sacrificial Pact and is otherwise unaltered. At level 90, we have Grimoire of Supremacy, Grimoire of Service, and Grimoire of Sacrifice. Grimoire of Supremacy empowers your demon pet for 20% increased health and damage, but doesn't say anything about granting the stronger form of the pets. Hopefully someone with alpha access can confirm, but on paper it looks like players won't get the Observer, Shavara, Felimp, or Voidlord anymore. I liked my little eyeball dude. Grimoire of Service hasn't changed from its Warlords version and seems kind of bad compared to the other two. Grimoire of Sacrifice no longer gives you your demon's ability when you sacrifice it, but instead gives you demonic power. With demonic power, your spells will sometimes deal additional shadow damage to the target and enemies within 8 yards of it. This change means that Grimoire of Supremacy will be the go-to for single target and possibly PvP, while Grimoire of Sacrifice might pull ahead in AoE depending on how often the proc happens. At level 100, you pick from Soul Effigy, Phantom Singularity, and Demonic Servitude. Soul Effigy is a 1.5 second cast that creates a Soul Effigy bound to the target, attackable only by you. Half of all the damage taken by the effigy is replicated on the original target. The idea here is to let you get more mileage out of multi-dotting on fights that don't have that many targets for it. There's a limit of 1 effigy and it lasts for 10 minutes. Phantom Singularity is a 1-minute cooldown that places a Phantom Singularity above the target, consuming the life of enemies within 25 yards. It'll deal AoE pulses of damage every 2 seconds for 16 seconds and heal you for 30% of the damage it does. Demonic Servitude hasn't changed. For an artifact weapon, Affliction Warlocks will seek out Ulfalesh, the Deadwind Harvester. This is a very cool looking weapon that apparently was the tool used to devastate the Deadwind Pass. The following artifact traits will be unlocked as you gain artifact power in Legion and may still change before launch. Reap Soul is a 42 second dot on a 45 second cooldown that ticks increasingly faster over its duration. Inherently Unstable buffs the crit chance of your unstable affliction by 10%. Drained to a Husk increases the damage of your drain life and soul by 8%. Inimitable Agony increases your agony damage by 10%. Harvester of Souls gives your drain spells a chance to trigger automatically for 3 seconds on any target afflicted by your corruption. Mere Flesh reduces your damage taken by 10%. Fatal Echoes gives your unstable affliction a 25% chance to reapply itself when it expires. Seeds of Doom increases the detonate damage of seeded corruption by 15%. Compound Interest causes each agony and corruption you cast to increase the damage of your next unstable affliction by 10%. This has an awesome name and also devalues the absolute corruption talent by quite a bit. Long Dark Night of the Soul increases the healing of your drain spells by 30%. Soul Flame causes targets to deal damage to nearby enemies when you kill them. Shadowy Incantations increases all shadow damage you do by a whopping 3%. Hideous Corruption buffs your corruption damage by 10%. Wrath of Consumption causes your killing blows to buff your dots by 2%, stacking up to 5 times. There's no duration to this effect, which might mean it buffs only dots that are already active. Perdition increases the crit damage of your agony, corruption, drains, and unstable affliction by 15%. Finally, Sweet Souls causes your health stone to fully heal you. Additionally, any party member that uses a health stone also heals you for the amount that they were healed. And that's what we know so far about Affliction Warlocks in Legion. It's been changed a fair bit, but I think it has good potential in both raiding and PvP if they tune the numbers right. Keep an eye on my channel for a separate video detailing the PvP talent tree that Affliction will get in Legion. Let me know what you think of the Warlock changes and have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye!